In today's episode, we unbox
Imperial Settlers, Rise of the Empire.
You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And we're the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about
How we game.
Today we're going to be unboxing the new expansion that came in for Rob.
Yep.
The Imperial Settlers expansion called Rise of the Empire. Rob, what is this?
This takes the classic Imperial Settlers card game, the tableau building, resource management, hand management card game, and it turns it into a campaign. So it allows you to play through a series of games, from what I understand, probably about 10 or 12 games, and takes the normal one-off of the game and turns it into a series where the results from one game will carry over to the next game. One of the unique things, we're unboxing this for the first time, so I'm not sure exactly what all's in this box. I know there's a bunch of cards and a couple of new concepts and a couple of new things, but one of the big interesting things about this is it allows you to play supposedly without the same group of people each time. You can actually mix it up. Yeah, that's unique.
That's one of my detriments that I say about campaign games is trying to get the same group back together over and over again. It's just hard to do.
Yep, and this one, there's penalties, and there's advantages to play on all of them, and there's penalties to play on all of them. So you can have certain people drop back in and out with different races. You have a sheet that you keep track of, and they could be to your advantage in some ways not to play every game. So it's real unique concept there. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, get going.
All right. So like I say, we're opening this for the first time. We went ahead and took the shrink off of it just so there wouldn't be any glare or as much glare on the camera. But so we've got the rule book here. This, from what I understand, plays pretty much like the standard rules from the standard game. There's just a few things. The campaign aspect is really what this rule book, from what I understand, is all about. It's going to tell you how to set up for each game, which is going to be unique based off of what happened in the last games. And then it's going to tell you how to kind of link each of those games together. Looks like I wasn't aware of this. There's a solo mode.
Yeah, I saw that.
So you point that out. So it's very brief here. It looks like it's just 3 bullet points. But there is a solo mode in the original game. So this looks like probably gives you a way to do the campaign in the solo. So that's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, take a look.
Hold on.
Yeah, okay. And actually, just one other thing I want to jump over to for pre-ordering, since I pre-ordered the game, just 2 things they gave us. We'll just do these real quick here. This is... Oops, I just tore it.
See, when you brought it in here, I thought it was like a Kodak picture holder, because it looks like the old picture holders from like used to get at like Walgreens.
When you had your film developed, when you took it in, gave them your roll, and you picked it up a week later with all the photos in it. That's exactly what that looks like. And then these they build them as kind of postcards. I'll hold them up here on the close-up camera, but it's just some of the art from the game that they did kind of little postcards of. So on the back of each one, it just says here, Rise of the Empire. But it's got several. Actually, those I was thinking maybe it was one for each of the different races in the group. Or
it looks like it's a group of the different races. Just different pictures.
So of the different civilizations. And so this was just a little freebie they threw in for anybody who pre-ordered the game. And it's just a little flavor, a little bit of artwork, which is pretty cool. So again, can't complain with anything they're gonna give you for free.
If it's free, it's for me.
Exactly. And then these, I'm not sure exactly what these do, but this is a set of 4 tiles that they gave you. From what I understand, these, again, are not part of the normal game or the expansion that's in this box. But for pre-ordering, you also got these tiles. And again, I'm not sure exactly what they do, but from the little bit I was able to look at, these will come out at the beginning of each game, and each player in turn order, I believe, will pick one of them, and it gives you just a little tiny boost, just a little something extra you can do. And again, this was something that doesn't come with the game. You had to pre-order to get this. So again, another freebie. There's just a little very short description of some additional rules for it when you add those tiles in. So I'll be interested to see what those are all about. But coming back over to the box, looks like we have some chits here, which are not part of the regular game. So we'll have to do a little investigating to see what these are, but I suspect these will all have to do with the campaign. Looks like there's some kind of fortifications, some walls you can build here. There's some money, so I'm assuming...
They call them progress tokens.
Okay, there you go.
There's Dove tokens, Workaholic tokens,
showing the close-up camera
Wall
here.
tokens, and Bribe tokens. So there's 8 of each of those. And then there's some markers on there. There's 4 markers each for military and diplomacy markers, economic and administration markers, as well as 4 science and cultural markers. So that's what that sheet contains of.
Okay. And a little bit that I've heard, what you're going to do in the game is at the end of each game that you play, depending on maybe something that you've accomplished during the game, you will choose an upgrade. And assume it has something to do with who finishes first or second or third in each of the games. You'll choose a civilization upgrade that you'll carry over to the next game. So it will give you a little bit of a jump start in the next game. But the drawback of that is in the at the end of each game, when you carry over some of the whatever it is, you'll actually, whatever advancement it is, you're going to be penalized or you're going to have to pay at the end of the game. So when you're doing your in-game scoring, you're going to have to pay for all the other, I forget what they call them, colonies or all the other civilizations that you've conquered during that game as you kind of are building your empire. So as you build your empire, again, it's going to give you the more that you have
provinces.
in your right, more provinces. There you go. So you're reading off the rules there. The more provinces you have, you're going to have to, at the end of each game, you're going to have to account for feeding or paying or supporting those provinces, which is going to take away from your in-game score. But then again, any that you can pay for, if you can't pay for them or keep them up, you lose them before you go into the next game. But whatever you can support into the next game gives you an advantage, a jump start in the next game. You're going to collect some extra resources, you're going to collect some extra things. And so as your empire grows, and that's kind of where the advantage/disadvantage can go from game to game, because the bigger you get your empire, the more provinces you're getting, get you closer to the ultimate win condition of the whole campaign. But then you've got to be able to generate enough stuff during the game to maintain all of that and pay for it going, ending one game and going into the next one. So
kind of like a feed your people.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, something like that.
The more provinces you have, the more you have to take care of.
Feed your people. Yep, that's the.
The great philosopher once said, "Mo money, mo problems."
Oh yeah. And looking here, these are the progress sheets that you're going to use in the campaign. I'll hold it up here to the top camera. But these are the progress sheets, and actually I'll take it over here to the close-up camera on the side. This is the way you're going to track your empire from game to game.
And this looks like this is the key of this campaign.
Right.
It's going to be these sheets.
This is going to be the big part of it here. So each person's going to get one. It looks like here at the top, you're going to name your faction, and you're going to put your name on it, just in case you're playing multiple games.
As you flip through it, they look different.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's...
It doesn't look like a score pad. I saw different colors in there. Flip through some of that.
Yeah, just looking here, like the first one says antique, and it's blue. And then as you go through, the next one says Middle Ages, and that's brown. Industrial is like a black. And then antique again, Middle Ages, industrial. So, yeah, we'll have to do a little exploring, or I don't know if you can find it there in the rule book real quick about what each of those is going to do. But it looks like it's just those 3 that's repeated over and over and over again. Antique, industrial.
Empire sheets represent your empire throughout 3 eras. All players start in the ancient era. Each empire sheet will be personalized, which means you'll write on it and update it as you progress. So that's how you start your faction, then they move into the next era, then end up in the industrial era. Okay.
Cool.
So, and each of these sheets is different based on what era you are in.
So you're taking your civilization through each of the 3 eras.
Yep. ERA.
Era, not area. Yep. Okay, yep, I misspoke there.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out in the game. And at the top, I know here is kind of, again, where you're talking about the resources that you have to pay. And so I know you, from a little bit that I've seen, you check off these boxes at the end of games as you do different things down here. It looks like maybe as you reach different milestones, you check off things. But these are the resources you're going to have to account for and have in your pool at the end of the game. If you don't have those things, then you're going to start losing some of those provinces and some of those advantages that you take over to the next round. So next game.
Right. Like, so in the industrial age, there's a lot more need for food, less need for like wood, which that kind of makes sense. You're not relying on natural resources anymore. You're needing to feed people in the industrial age who are now living in cities versus in the farms.
Yeah.
So it kind of it grows with you.
Pretty cool.
Nice. There's a quest track at the bottom. I saw these quest markers.
Quest tokens, yeah.
Yeah, quest tokens. So it looks like there's a little quest that you have to complete. I'm assuming that'll all be in the cards.
Yeah. We'll take a quick look at the cards. I'm not going to go through all the cards here, but let's just see if we can break into one of these packs here.
So we're looking at the cards. How many cards are in the set?
I read that there are 220 new cards in this set on top of all the cards in the original. Anybody who's played the original knows that this is a card-based game. I don't recall how many cards were in the original and the base, but it's a lot of cards. So it's what this one's all about. But we'll just get a quick flavor here. Won't go through all these, but just kind of get an idea. Open the first pack. Looks like there's cards here labeled Start at the top. There's Sanitation, Refining, Electricity. I see it looks like a cost in the corner, 70, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. So I would assume that'll probably have something to do with maybe victory points that you'll maybe pay for some of these kind of upgrades, although that sounds like a lot of victory points. But let me just show over here on the close-up camera. We've got there's Sanitation here. Sanitation says...
like Finn, sanitation specialist, right?
Yeah, there you go. From Star Wars. It says, as a feature, during the production phase, if you produce at least 5/8 workers, that's probably based on the number of players, gain 1-2 victory points or stars. And so these look like... look like these are all kind of game altering as you do things, ways to get victory points, ways to gain gold, ways to get different things. And looks like they're colored on the side like the original game. There was a collection mechanic.
I think those are quests.
Oh, these are quests that you can try to
that must
complete.
be where you start the quest.
Ah, okay. Very cool. So things that you try to complete, and again, when you add them in, it looks like they're colored on the side, which in the original game, there's some set collection there. You can get different cards that give you victory points every time you build a green or different things, although I see purple in here. I've never seen that before, so that must be something new for this game. The next thing I see in the stack of here is quite a few, looks like kind of leaders or heroes. We've got like Genghis Khan. We've got...
These are quests. These are the quests.
Are these the quests? They do say quest.
Raise 3 times during a single round. First to achieve it draws 3 common cards, raise 1 for free, and discard the others.
Very nice. Cool. And so, all right, so these are the quests then. You're going on the quests, I guess, for these leaders. Here's a different set. So there's some here with a bird and a sword on them. A dove and a sword, a peace or war. There's some with a scroll and money on them.
Military and diplomacy, the economic and administration, and then science and culture.
Yep, there's science and culture right there is the book. So that's pretty neat. So it gives you some quests to try to fulfill. So I guess you're going to be racing for these. You probably set out a certain number of them depending on the number of players, I would guess. Actually, on the back sides of these, there are more basic versions of kind of the same thing. Like on the back of Genghis Khan, it says raise 3 times during a single round. You advance 1 on that quest track. So, okay, so you can advance maybe on the different tracks and get points towards some kind of in-game victory stuff there, it looks like. And then there's just a couple of promo cards for some of their other games, the Imperial Settlers Roll and Ride and Empires of the North, the newer version of Imperial Settlers. Let's see if we can maybe break into at least one more of these and see.
These look to be inventions. So these are the quests. These are the inventions.
Okay, there we go.
So sanitation as an invention, steel as an invention, scientific theory. I like how the artwork on it has this cartoon sketching.
It's almost like a Michelangelo or some kind of ancient sketching or drawing.
Like
Da Vinci. Yeah, Da Vinci. There you go.
Little notebook sketches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that's one thing here. Actually, opening this next set, I see this this character on the back here on the close-up camera. I know I just saw something on their website.
So it's very Da Vinci.
Yeah, their website the other day. They were saying actually they're going to make T-shirts now. This has been a very popular in the few days that this has been out. People have been raving about that, so they're going to make T-shirts with that Da Vinci, with that Progress of Man or whatever it is on there. So,
but I think it ends up as a meeple.
Yeah, kind of the outline there. Yep, looks like it's a meeple turned man. So a true meeple. Opening the second set here. Holy mackerel. This is all of these start labeled cards. This whole...
66 inventions, it says.
Whole deck here. So these inventions, okay, that's what they're called. So whole bunch of them, all different color codes there along the side.
42 quests, 66 inventions.
Okay, just some ideas here. This one says feature. Each time you gain a foundation, additionally gain a shield token.
And notice that they're tied to the era.
Okay.
So that's ancient era invention. These are industrial era inventions.
These look like Middle Ages, I think is what that one was. So
Middle Ages.
Middle Ages. So, yep, as you go through. Very cool.
So you're going to have special inventions.
Yeah, might as well see if we can break into this last one. Ooh, and I can just tell here right from the top, this
Provinces.
looks like, these look like more like the traditional cards in the base game. See how difficult I can get into this one. I know, just again, right off the top, the one that I can see is more like the games from the regular, the cards for the regular game.
province cards they're used to in the game.
Yeah, like this one's just a production of one, so it adds to your production. I did read that there was a whole bunch of new production cards. How many does it say new production cards?
55 province cards.
Province cards, okay. So that, and these all are add production, so this one's
66 of these inventions, 42 of these quest, and then 55 of these province.
And I see on these province ones, every one of them in the corner has a cost in, it says at the end of the game, spend, this one's 5 victory points. So to add this one, I think, to your deck, you probably, it looks like add these to your starting deck for the next game.
Okay, so if you get it in the game, to be able to keep it for the next game, you're going to have to spend
some of your victory points at the end. And the victory points are part of, I think, what helps you advance in the main campaign. So you've got to make those decisions. Do I spend some of my victory points and maybe not advance quite as far in the campaign to maybe get some upgrade cards in my hand that do a little better production, a little bit. There's some action cards in here that do some things that are going to help me in my hand. So those backs of those are definitely different. So you'll be able to tell those on the back side of the cards that are different from the regular game. So those will help you differentiate those and pull those out.
Overall, it's a very small set.
Yeah.
It's not a huge box, but it looks like there's plenty of room to grow.
Yeah.
So the insert itself has a lot of slots in the insert, if you could see.
Yeah.
So this does not take up much of that room at all.
My guess is that this will help also as a storage. I hadn't thought about that as a storage solution for even for the base game, because the base game, the box has no kind of insert, no kind of dividers. It's just a box. And so as I'm buying the expansion civilizations and things for the base game, I'm just bagging them and throwing them in the box. But this is actually, I bet this will hold all of the cards to date, I would guess. Do those fit in there? I'm curious. Those tiles, those are a little larger.
That would have only made too much sense.
Yeah.
That just would have made
not a space for those tiles.
That would have made too much sense.
Again, this is a pre-order special only, so I guess you kind of
get to specially put it somewhere.
It fits in there. It fits there on the top.
Looks like it holds a board. Oh no, that's
that pad there.
Pad.
So I'll have to play around with it. I'll have to see. I don't have the base.
But now
game
this
here.
gives you a reason to bring, because we've played this a few times.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've brought this to game days.
Yep.
This gives you a reason to continue to bring it to game days and get it out to the table, because you can advance your civilization. You can help RB as he plays advance his civilization, and then anyone who wants to join and play in and out, right, whoever's available at that time on that day can play without feeling like they're missing something by not being there.
Yeah, and we throw a game together. If somebody hasn't played before, I mean, we can bring them up to speed. They just rip off a sheet and start a new civilization and start trying to advance towards the second or the third age, and they can be right in the game with everybody else. And so even if they're only going to play once or twice, they can still kind of get a feel for the experience and maybe decide if they want to hang around and keep playing and go for the whole 9 yards. But yeah,
it's a good game. Nice expansion.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. One of my top 5, maybe top 10 of all time is the original Imperial Settlers. So
I love the artwork. I love civilization building games. I love games that tie in history. I like a lot of the war game type stuff, and this is just enough of the historical piece into the theme. When you play your civilization, it actually feels a little bit like you're playing the civilization you're playing.
A little bit, yeah.
So that kind of draws me in as more of a historical gamer. So I'm looking forward to this one getting to the table.
Me too. I'm excited. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for this unboxing. Please be sure to like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
You really don't know how much that means, how much it helps for us for you to do that, so we can do more of these. Thanks for watching. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob. And
this was Imperial Settlers, The Rise of the Empire. We will see you on the next one.
See you. Keep gaming.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.